Hi, and welcome. This is season 2 of I've Heard It Both Ways, where everybody laughs at me when we do an introduction. I don't get it. Um, anyway, uh, we're glad that we have a new year. We have some things that we can talk about, and
Do we?
yes, we do.
Oh.
Especially you, Maria. Maria has lots, and Juan does too. So
Yeah.
I'm Ben.
I'm Maria.
I'm Juan. Sorry.
He's Maria Juan de Jesus or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, we all want to be Maria.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
We do.
So today we thought we'd take just a few minutes to talk about goal setting and New Year's resolutions. Yes, it's February, but sometimes it takes
It's February. That's crazy.
It's
know.
February 1st. So
second.
it is? Oh man.
And Punxsutawney Phil did not see
Wow.
his shadow.
No,
That's
so
ric-
early spring.
Early spring, but did you know that he's only correct 40% of the last?
Stop it.
I'm just saying, in the
Why
last
do you
100.
have to ruin it for
I'm
everyone?
not ruining it. I'm just saying there's a 40% chance he's going to get it wrong. He gets it wrong more than,
Oh my goodness.
More than right.
well, yeah, but even more than what statistically should happen,
Don't
which is
ruin this
50-50.
for
So
everyone.
I'm not trying to ruin it. So early
Just
spring.
did.
I mean, we've had spring for the last 2 weeks here in Utah, so that's great.
Actually, yeah, we did.
Yeah, can't complain about that. Well, I mean, we can complain about anything we want to, but should we? I've heard it both ways.
Nice.
I missed this. This is good that we're back in action here.
It's been a while.
So, talking about goal setting and New Year's resolutions, so we want to help ourselves are one thing. We only have control of ourselves, right? We can't really control other people. So
Dang.
I know Maria
That would
tries
be
to control us,
amazing.
but
Mind control.
yeah, mind
She
control.
succeeds most of the time.
Yeah, which, just to get off on a tangent, the first clinical trial of Elon Musk's
Oh, yeah.
neural implant has happened. He has the neural
Great.
implant in there. It's awesome though, because it's
What are we
going to
doing?
help quadriplegics maybe regain motion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a USB drive and updating new firmware in your brain or anything. So, not yet.
Okay.
But anyway, that we diverged from the topic at hand, which is setting goals. So we can't really control other people right now yet. We haven't learned how to do that. But why would we want to? And secondly, what can we do? Thanks, Maria. What can we do to help other people realize the value of setting goals and achieving goals? So, Juan, you have some younger children.
Mhm.
Do you have any experience helping them set goals?
The first thing that comes to mind is potty training.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was, well, I feel like with our oldest we've arrived. She's potty trained. She does really well.
Yay,
Good
that's
job.
huge.
I mean, she's also older. Well, she didn't start late. She learned it at the right time
Perfect.
for her to learn it. But how did we set goals with her? First of all, we had to be we didn't want to make potty training seem like a huge deal, because then we felt like it would create anxiety for her. So we just kind of downplayed a little bit. And there's lots of books out there for kids about, potty training. So we write books. That's honestly been the best way for us to teach our girls different things, is through books, because whoever writes those books has a good way of making things entertaining and lighthearted. And so I can't remember the name of the book. It's a children's book. That was
Everybody
perfect.
Oops, that's a good one.
I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I'll look for it. I'll bring it next time if I can find it. But anyway, we read that way before potty training was coming. And she loved the book, so we read it all the time. And so when we were getting started for that, we just cited the book, and it was a fun thing. I feel like she thought it was a fun thing that we were going through. And so that made it a lot more relaxed, a more relaxed environment for her. And it worked out pretty well, I think. We didn't have very many accidents at all, actually. It was great.
That's awesome.
That is
So,
super awesome.
Way
yeah.
to go, parents.
Hey, thanks.
Good job.
Yeah, all
So,
parents.
to summarize a little bit about what you did, you created an environment that made it a low pressure environment that
Mhm.
helped them feel supported to reach their goal.
Yeah.
Maria has really old children.
Really old children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, before we get to that, I did that, yeah. Okay, I have an experience
Share.
related to goal setting. Okay, so many years ago, I was in Norway, and it was a new environment for me, new foods, new everything, right? And I was really stressed for part of the time that I was there, and I started gaining weight, and to the point that people were like mean to me. My friends were mean to me about it. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I can tell you
ridiculous.
stories about that. But I had a friend, and she was very skinny and very beautiful, and all this, right? And I was talking to her, asking her like, oh, so what do you eat? Like, how do you maintain your weight and everything? And what she said was, well, I just eat a lot of rice and corn and like throw some soy sauce in there, and that's what I eat, and I'm totally fine. And I started eating rice and corn and soy sauce. And after a couple of days or so, I just stopped. I'm like, what am I doing? What in the world am I doing? So bottom line, the point of this story is this. When setting goals, I think it's very important to not compare ourselves to others and not try to follow what others do. I think we need to know ourselves pretty well to be able to be efficient and effective in our goal setting, right? I could have done so many other things to help myself with my goal, but I chose to, kind of compare myself to her and follow what she was doing just because, I don't know, I was too, whatever I was, I don't know what that was called. Don't say it. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's my first piece of advice when it comes to goal setting. Don't compare yourself to others, and try to figure out what works for you. You can compare yourself to yourself and set goals that way. Try to improve yourself based on your old self, if that makes sense. I don't know
Mhm.
what I'm
And
saying.
Makes sense.
that also is still sometimes not fair.
That
But
also is
it's the
not fair.
closest to fairness if
Yes.
you're going to compare.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, there
So
you go.
basically, you're saying that this is like stomach ulcers.
Explain.
I knew. So here's the story. We have a lot of old wives' tales about how to treat stomach ulcers, like have lots of milk, or uh, put cayenne pepper in what you're eating, or things like this. And the truth is, everybody's stomach is different, and what causes the ulcer is different for everyone, and what soothes it, besides like regular medicine and stuff, what foods soothe it are different for everyone. So goals are like stomach ulcers.
I mean,
There you
yeah,
go.
you said it.
Yeah, all right, there we go.
That should be
Well,
the
that's
thumbnail
good.
for
I
this
I think on
podcast.
that bombshell we're done, right? I mean, let's just all just say, hey, yeah, stomach ulcers. No, that's good. Do you have any experiences helping your children reach goals?
We're working on that. I don't think we got to the point where where I feel like I'm that useful to them. When it comes to this, mainly because we're kind of at a point where it's like, well, mom is not as cool as my friends, or
Hate that.
which I mean, I get it. I've been through the same phase, and it's a phase. That's a normal thing that
Yeah.
happens to
A
teenagers.
normal, horrible phase.
So I get it. But really what I do is with them, I try to tell them like, oh, this is this new thing that I'm working on with myself. And sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't, and sometimes it's very hard, sometimes it's not that hard, depending on, what I'm going through or what I'm experiencing. But I think just talking about what I'm doing and how it's working for me, I think at this point is pretty much kind of what I can do right now, to kind of to allow them to see me as like, oh, look, she has goals. Look, she's trying. Look, she's struggling. But yeah, I don't know.
So I like what you said there. You're talking about setting a good example, and actually, it's like a speak aloud protocol, telling them what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
yeah,
yeah, I try to do that with my kids too, and because it's hard, because we can't set goals for them, and if they don't want to set goals and are not motivated, then
yeah,
and then a lot of times kids, especially younger kids, are motivated by rewards for accomplishing their goal,
Yeah.
and not the reward of accomplishing the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
yeah.
not motivated the same way. But you know what? Everybody does things for different motivations, and if it's a good thing, it's okay, right? Um, so yeah, it's interesting. Um, the other question, mainly I was asking those questions because I needed some help. You guys helped me out a lot. Um, that's
But we
why
do.
Good goal setting.
that's why we're all sisters.
Yes. The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Isn't that a movie?
I know that movie. I don't. You don't know that movie?
No,
It is a movie.
Who are you?
I don't. I've never heard of it before.
It's a good movie. I love that movie.
Okay.
I only know the title. I've never seen it, actually.
Well, it's
We'll
a
have-
girly movie, so there you go.
Yeah.
I like girly movies.
Well, there you go. Watch it.
You would like it, baby.
Maybe that could be our topic for next.
Let's
Right.
watch it and we'll talk
We'll
about
just
it
change
next
this
week.
to movie review.
There you go.
Watch a
Well-
movie and talk about it.
You might as well.
So, in terms of goals and resolutions, this is February, right? Everybody likes to make goals in January.
Nope.
Not everybody, but I'm just saying in general, that's like, oh, it's January, let's make some goals, right? Neil Anderson once said, I remember him saying this, he goes, I don't like setting goals in January. I like setting them in September for his year goals because that's the way his work schedule works.
Yeah.
September to September. And I realized that the best time to set a goal and work towards it is when you actually want to set the goal and move towards it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, setting a yearly goal is very overwhelming. I can't do that. I refuse to do that. I like to do it in chunks. Oh,
There you
oh,
go.
you did that.
You
Oh,
did it
sorry.
very
That's a
slow.
thumbs up for you, Marie. Now it's confused. There you
Oh,
go.
man. Mine doesn't work.
Anyways,
Wow.
There you
Nice,
I
Ben.
like that.
For those of you who are just listening, there was just fireworks.
It was cool.
It was cool, but sorry, we digress again.
This is a
Anyway.
very high budget podcast.
It
We
is.
have-
We
yeah.
spare no expense
Yeah.
to make sure we can have some good things going on. Next week we'll have a pyrotechnic show. But anyway, yeah. So sorry, I like what you said, doing in chunks, not setting a year
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah, I can't do, I mean, we're talking about setting timely goals, right? If you set a goal for a year, it's a little overwhelming. Obviously, we can have like little chunks that take us there to the main goal, right? But I like to kind of revise, and I usually set one goal at a time, and it's maybe one that is shorter for a month or two or something like that.
Well, that's what we teach our students, right? We teach
Yeah.
that, that whatever goal you're going to make, it needs to be
Smart.
manageable, right?
Yeah.
So if you set a goal for the whole year, it's very overwhelming.
For some people. Some people
some
like
people,
the
yeah.
yearly thing, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's different types of goals. One of them is a goal to arrive at something, and another is a goal to start a new behavior, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. So for example, setting a goal to write in your journal every day, I think that's something you could say you want to do it for a month, you could say you want to do it for a year, just whatever you want to do. Setting a goal that you want to be able to bench press 350 pounds, that might not have a time frame that
Mhm.
you can do, or maybe you do know that by the end of the year I should be able to run a mile in 13 minutes. That would be my goal, because 13 minutes is probably, I think probably right now I'm at 20. So,
Right.
but I don't
There you go.
run, so who would know, right? But the point being that there's goals about arriving at something and becoming something, and sometimes they're mixed together. I mean, classic goals of losing weight are often about arriving at the weight and not about the journey, and they should be about both, right? It should be about changing habits and behaviors, and setting it. So I think
But even with those, you chunk it, right? Like you don't.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I just don't want to discount that a year could be like people have 5-year goals, and those goals aren't as overwhelming as 1-year goal, to be
Because
honest.
it seemed like too far away.
Yeah, but like maybe your goal is in 5 years to be debt free, right? And so that's what you can do. That's
Well, I think a lot of it with setting goals is just being like honest to yourself and, realistic about the expectations. Say, okay, if I wanna, for example, lose 10 pounds, that's not gonna take me a week or 2 weeks, right? So whatever that's gonna take, then that's how long it'll take. A 5-year plan, think about, us as teachers, right? There might be something that you want to do professionally, and it may take that long to do. So I think just being honest and thinking about how long it's really going to take, it's important. That way you don't get overwhelmed with the pressure of time running
Yeah.
out.
And I like this aspect of intentionality when thinking about goals, when setting goals, right? That means I'm aware of what's happening with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of the things that I can do. And I'm intentional about the things that I do, that I am able to do to, accomplish my goal. And I'm glad you brought up the teacher aspect of it, right?
That was my next question I was going to ask.
Well,
So Juan
you're too
Let's
slow.
do it.
Juan read my mind.
You read his mind.
Mind control.
Good
I
job.
have it. I can do it.
So I think when it comes, I love setting goals as a teacher for my classes, and like personal goals, not necessarily the ones that involve my students, but I could see some things that I wasn't doing some things that I was doing that I didn't quite like. So then it was easy for me to be intentional about how I was going to fix that problem. And it was kind of cool to see the development over the semester, in the semesters that it worked, because there were some semesters where it didn't work, right?
I think
Or I wasn't as intentional, or I didn't put that much effort into it. But just kind of seeing that, recognizing, oh, I could do this better.
yeah.
And
I think earlier we touched on motivation, like what drives you to achieve those goals or to set those goals. And as a teacher, I think that's at least for me, the primary reason behind setting goals as a teacher is to benefit the students, at least for me. And the secondary is just like, oh, by the way, you improve yourself too as a teacher, right? And so I think thinking about what drives the goal setting is very important. Like trying to have a what am I trying to say? You need to be driven by something if you're going to achieve that goal that you have. And if you're just kind of following trends of like, oh, it's January, let's set a goal, you may not get anywhere with that.
Yeah. So what we're saying is January is not a bad time to set a goal, but it's not the only time to set a goal.
Mm-hmm.
The best time to set a goal is when you're ready.
Yeah. When you acknowledge that there is an area of improvement and you understand that it may take, a while perhaps, and you have some motivation behind it. And I think that's when the behavior changes, right? I like what you said earlier, Ben. It's not just arriving and say, okay, I did it, but it's the whole thing about changing behavior to improve ourselves, because that's really what it is. You think about, like eating healthier. Sure, you may improve your health in the way, you may lose some weight in the process, but overall that's going to benefit you in the long term, right? And I think it's all about changing behavior. Well,
I
not
think
all, some.
Yeah, I think along with changing behavior is, I think it starts with changing our thoughts about the specific behavior that we want to change,
Hmm.
right? If I set a goal to lose, I don't know, 20 pounds because I feel like I'm ugly and people don't like me and all of this,
Nobody
I'm not,
thinks that, Maria.
it's just an example.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't think it will have the same results as if I thought about it in a different way. Kind of like, oh, I want to be healthier. I want to eat healthier, or
Well,
I want to be more fit. I want to have more energy.
you
So
know,
the way that we approach this change in behavior, I think, makes a big difference in accomplishing that goal.
thinking about motivation and thinking about being healthy and eating healthy, we all have kids at different stages of life. And one of the things I think about is like, okay, am I taking care of my health, my body well enough so that I can be with my kids as they grow up? Right? Am I going to be able to keep up with them when they're, doing all their different activities? Am I going to be there when they need me later on in life? Or am I going to be like, you know, sick because of the poor choices I've made? So that's kind of like the motivation I'm talking about, like something that just truly drives you to make those changes, meaningful changes in life.
That's true. That's a good thought. Well, any other lingering thoughts about goals?
You've been kind of quiet.
You've been kind of quiet, Ben. Yeah.
Well, I talked a lot at the beginning,
Okay.
and I feel like I'm hosting this conversation. Um,
You leading,
yeah,
yes.
I I I I go through phases where I do good with goals and then I don't do well with goals.
But I think that's normal, and I think
Yep.
it happens to everyone. And I think it goes back to this idea of how what's the approach that we take to our goal setting,
Hmm.
and I think that makes a difference.
And the other thing that we haven't talked about, I think this is probably one of the most important parts of setting goals. And I'm just going to keep talking about how important it is without mentioning it, so everybody will just listen to every single word I'm going to say. So this thing is so important. No, it's not the
How
most important thing.
important is it?
It's really important. No,
I've
the
heard it both ways.
you probably will say that even more so after this. I think one of the most important parts of learning to set goals and following through with achieving your goals is to forgive yourself and give yourself grace, because people make mistakes. And it's okay if you don't reach your goal by the time you set it, or you don't, it's okay if you abandon a goal. I mean, how many times I've set goals and I'm like, why did I set this goal? It's stupid. I don't want to do it. So I think we just need to be willing to forgive ourselves and let ourselves have some grace and when we're setting goals.
Yeah, and I think I've heard it one way. So that was a good way. That was important.
You've heard it one way, or you've heard it my
Your
way?
way.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But I think something else that goes along with it is revisit those goals, right? Because we change. We change all the time, right? So just like you said, like I'm thinking, why did I set this goal? It doesn't work for me right now.
Yeah.
So revisit those and yeah, and look at yourself and kind of analyze the situation.
Yeah. I don't want to open a can of worms, but
Uh-oh.
I was thinking about students, right? We're all teachers. And that's one of the hardest things that I face, helping my students set goals, because as we discuss here today, everybody's different. There's different timeline for setting goals and for, changing behaviors. And as teachers, there are certain milestones or benchmarks that we want our students to reach. And we try to help them often to set goals and to arrive there. But I've had a really, really tough time um, being helpful, I guess, to my students in achieving their goals. And it made me think about, I forgot who said, maybe Ben said it, like being kind to ourselves and forgiving ourselves for not being able to help, 30 individuals reach their goals.
Or
So,
100
or
or
100.
200.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
So that's a hard one for me,
it is
helping other
hard.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to realize too that when we're not helping someone achieve their goals, it doesn't necessarily mean we're a failure or that we failed. Right? We can't carry the world on our shoulders, Maria.
I don't do that.
Here's the world on your shoulders.
But also, I think we have to recognize that there are different ways to help our students,
Yeah.
right? So not everyone needs the same kind of help. And maybe we are helping our students, but just not in the way that we think we should be helping them.
Mm.
So there's
Yeah.
another thought with that.
Good thoughts. Well, if you've made it to the end, thank you. We're glad that you were here listening, and
You look like you're gonna fall asleep or cry.
I'm gonna cry. No. Thanks for joining us. We will have another exciting topic another day when we do episode 2 of season 2. Maybe we'll just have Maria tell us jokes. I'm just kidding.
No, you don't want me to tell you jokes.
Maybe we'll have
A movie review.
a movie review of
There
the
you go.
Sisterhood of the what?
Traveling pants.
The traveling pants. Like trousers.
Sister,
I cannot believe you haven't heard about this.
Ben, you gotta watch that.
Thanks, Juan.
That's your homework for next time.
Can it be your homework too?
Sure. Maria, you gotta rewatch it. Refresh your
I
mind.
will. I will.
Where can this be found?
No,
Some
I haven't watched it in
Some
Website.
streaming platform. We don't know which
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
If you know
Alright.
where it is, leave a comment right after
Yeah.
you subscribe and like
Yes.
and
You're
share
all listening to our
and
podcast.
follow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All that stuff.
I mean, hopefully we'll get to 1 million followers soon.
We're close. I've
tomorrow.
heard we're close.
Yeah. Once we get to 1 million, we'll do some giveaways.
Yeah.
Um,
Big giveaway.
Big giveaways. I think
Yes.
we could probably get a car, right?
Probably. Easy.
Yeah.
That'll be for third place.
Third place. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All expenses paid trip to Hawaii for 10 years.
Yeah.
Climate cheer.
There you go.
Juan can sponsor that.
I'll
Yeah.
sponsor that. Easy.
You have to stay in one.
I know
garage.
people. Yeah. We didn't say where you would stay. We'd say you could come.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
End session.